Hi guys, welcome back to the Kernel. Today we're going to be making a very easy vegan pesto. Pesto is traditionally made with basil, pine nuts, and Parmesan cheese. However, this vegan version will switch things up a little bit. I used cashews, but feel free to use pine nuts as you would traditionally, or even almonds or walnuts. This pesto is so refreshing and flavorful that you won't even miss the cheese. To make this vegan pesto, you're going to need 1 cup of fresh basil leaves. I know this can get expensive, so feel free to add a little bit of parsley or spinach to help make up that amount. 1 large lemon, you can also use 2 smaller lemons, 6 cloves of garlic. If you don't want your garlic flavor to be quite as strong, I recommend either roasting it or cutting back on the amount that you're using. You're also going to need 1/4 cup of the kind of nut that you'll be using. I recommend using cashews, but feel free to use almonds, walnuts, or pine nuts. You'll need 1 teaspoon of salt, olive oil, and if you want to add just a little bit of a cheese flavor, you could add in nutritional yeast. We're going to start off our vegan pesto by packing down 1 cup of fresh basil. You can use fresh grown basil, basil plants that you can find in the produce department of your local grocery store, or fresh basil leaves that are just packed straight into a container, which makes this nice and easy. I was only able to find the basil plants, so I'm starting off by plucking them off of the plant themselves and then packing them down into my measuring cup. As you start packing your leaves down, you'll notice that you may not have quite as much basil as you thought you had originally. Fresh basil can be fairly expensive from the grocery store, so feel free to use some fresh parsley or some raw spinach leaves, both of which are a lot more affordable, and this can help make up the size of the 1 cup that you'll need measured. I used parsley here just because the fresh taste goes really nicely with the basil. Next, you're going to toast your cashews over low heat. Make sure that you stir them frequently so that they don't get burned, and you just want them to be nice and lightly toasted. If you're using small lemons, I recommend using 2, but if you're using a large lemon, just go ahead and use 1. Slice that in half, and then also make sure that all of your garlic is nice and peeled. If you're not a huge fan of garlic, you can use the pre-minced garlic because it's less strong in flavor, or roasted garlic. You could also cut back on your garlic as well, however I love that garlic taste to be nice and strong. Next, you're going to insert all of your ingredients into your food processor or your strong blender like a Ninja. You can also use an immersion blender if you have one. You may be noticing here that I made a pretty big mistake. Make sure that your blade is inserted into your blender or your food processor before you start mixing your food. Otherwise, just do what I did here, dump it into another bowl, insert your blade, and then put it back into your food processor. Put the lid on your blender nice and tight, and then pulse all of the ingredients until they're blended together thoroughly. I added between 1 and 2 tablespoons of olive oil to get it to the consistency that I wanted. You may need to play around with this amount to get it just perfect. And that's it. In less than 10 minutes, you've made a super fresh and delicious homemade pesto. This is great if you're doing Whole30, Paleo, or if you're just on a vegetarian or vegan diet and needed a dairy-free pesto option. Not only is pesto delicious, it's also extremely versatile. From using it on traditional pasta, to veggie noodles, to rubbing it on salmon, as you can see like I did here in this photo, which was delicious by the way, you can't go wrong with pesto. Make sure that you comment below what your favorite way to use pesto is, and as always, please like this video and subscribe for more content. I'll be sharing 2 of my favorite ways to use pesto later on this week, so make sure that you tap that notification bell so that you don't miss the notification for that video. Thank you for watching the Kernel, and have a great week.